popping back in again this week. It is Wednesday at 1:30 Eastern and 10:30 Pacific, and a different time throughout other places in the world, I guess. And I am checking back in. Today we're talking about step 5 in the 9 steps to life change through your strengths. And this is one of my absolute favorite metaphors, word pictures, tools for taking your strengths from the theoretical to the this describes me, that's cool, to the actual use of them. What do I mean by using your strengths? Like, these are the things I'm wired with. So isn't this what it isn't that all that there is to it? Doesn't this just describe me? What do you mean I can actually use these things in a more productive way? And so this is a tool that I first came across by a brilliant colleague of mine, Mark Otto, and have just absolutely held on to it and use it as a part of almost every conversation that I have in this strengths world, which oftentimes is every conversation I have, because I can't help but keep my nerdy strengths mind out of all this. So I think there is a full explanation of this over at isogostrong.com over in the Isogo TV archives, episode 29, I believe it is, about volume control, about the idea that our strengths can be wielded well if we are able to control the volume, control the dials. You imagine like 5 different little volume dials, your top 5 strengths in front of you, and you have every situation and that you come across. You have the choice at which level you are going to be dialing those strengths in. And that choice is where you have control over how you use those strengths. And so that's where we're starting today. It really reminds me, I have a lot of opportunities to experience this dynamic, no pun intended, in my life here in New York, because let's say the other day I was walking to the subway, and I was listening to a podcast, which is actually a new podcast to me. You should check it out if you haven't, by Malcolm Gladwell, is Revisionist History. It's pretty awesome. And I was listening to it, and as I went down into the subway, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to turn this up. Actually, I could almost not turn the volume up high enough for me to really be able to comfortably hear it. But then when I finally got to my destination and I popped out in the suburb of New Jersey, it was blaring in my ear. I could barely appreciate the story that was being told because it was so loud. And our strengths are exactly like that. Sometimes in order to be most productive and most helpful, our strengths need to be on super high volume. But at other times, if we use that same volume of our strengths in a different situation, we would not be able to be appreciated, and we definitely would not be using it in a productive, strong way. Sometimes those things can become weaknesses to us, things that are get in the way of our productivity or the productivity of somebody else. Yesterday, I was talking with an attorney who had just started his own law firm, and he leads with competition as his number one strength. And in addition to a lot of things that we talked about this strong powerhouse of a strength, he mentioned that he's had to learn to control how much he uses that strength when he's at home. It is an awesome strength to use to compare his performance against his peers when he's at work. It's in fact been one of the main motivators for him to do as well as he has. Or when he was playing baseball at Pepperdine in college, an amazing time to wield that strength in full force. But when he's playing board games at home with his wife, not the best time to wield full competition. Just like me popping out the suburbs of New Jersey and Malcolm Gladwell's voice, who is generally just quite fine, being blared in my ears is offensive and obtrusive, and I cannot get the value of it. So is flipping board games when you're playing them with your wife. So, that's an example of how he has learned to, over the years, to control the volumes of his strengths, to really be using them for good and not for evil. So over at the blog post for this week, for step 5 of the 9 steps to using your StrengthsFinder top 5 for life change, that's where we're going. We're really taking the theoretical to the practical with this volume control activity. There is a free upload for you there, free download for you there. That is the volume control activity. You can, it helps walk you through step by step, looking at your own strengths and saying, where am I using these well, and where are they too loud, and where are they too soft? And then just one more note on that idea that they might be too soft. Sometimes we have the volume turned down so low that our strengths can't be appreciated. Maybe we don't even really see them too strongly in our lives, or other people around us don't know those things to be true about us. And sometimes the best question you can ask yourself after you've kind of gone through this activity and you've located some of those things that might be too low for you is to ask why. There's a bunch of questions you can ask, but the main one is to ask why. Why is this low? Maybe you're in an environment where you feel insecure about that particular strength. Maybe it's something that people in your past life have, or in your childhood have said was not a strength, was not good to have or to wield. Or maybe there's just some sense of shame around it. And once you can identify that why, oftentimes that helps you to be able to then recognize that you do have value in bringing that strength to the table, and learn how to exercise it even more strongly going forward, so that other people can hear you and they can appreciate the volume, or they can appreciate that strength because you have it up to a volume that is adding value and helping the team or the family move forward. So that's just a little note about volume under drive. Most of us have the opposite problem, where our strengths get in our way because they're up too high. So let us reconvene again next week. In the meantime, I am going to post this video up at our Energy Up, Frustration Down, Live by Our Strengths Facebook group, and we can chat about where we have seen our own strengths in overdrive and underdrive. And I'm happy to pipe in there if you have any questions about that as well. So thanks for joining me here today. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, David. I've been glad to have you on here. It's helpful to me, a little support. And I am looking forward to seeing you all again next week. Be sure to check over on the blog for step 5, where you'll see a couple free resources for you there, and would love to be able to connect with you and begin dialogue with you about your awesome, brilliant strengths that could lead to life change for you. I really believe it, and I hope you soon do too. All right. I will check in with you next week, same time. In the meantime, keep me posted on how you're living your strengths. Bye.